What's this called?
Sweater party.
What's on the label there?
An ugly Christmas sweater.
Boom.
Yep.
That's where we're going.
You got a little sweater party on the Seasick
That's
Crocodile,
what I saw.
too.
So what
Look
a
at
perfect
that.
tie-in. I did a little research on the ugly Christmas sweater.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to a Christmas episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Chris Kringle. Oh, oops, I'm Brian.
You're close enough.
Yeah.
You are today.
I'm plump and jolly, and I'm ready to drink some beer.
This is your favorite time of year.
Yeah,
We've
pretty
talked
much.
about
Yeah,
this a little bit.
Yeah, gives me the warm fuzzies.
You're putting your tree up in November before
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving even happens, right?
Yeah, of
you're
course.
just, like 3 days outside of Halloween, and you're putting the tree up.
Yeah, if the pumpkin's just about rotten, it's time to put up the tree.
I guess.
That's how I do it.
So he's one of those guys.
Yep.
Hasn't quite put any Christmas music on Facebook yet, have you?
No, I try to tamper that. I
Okay.
know not everyone shares the glee that I do in
Gotcha.
these things, but I feel like, and it definitely ties into craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
This feeling, life is short, man. Right? So
True.
Why make some arbitrary rule against enjoying the things you enjoy? Why can't I have my Christmas tree,
can.
right?
You
so
can.
I'm going to. Why can't I have a delicious Avery beer at 10:30 in the morning?
Why?
Well, we're going to do
We're
that.
going to.
And that's how I like to live.
Is it still okay to celebrate Thanksgiving? Because I love me some Thanksgiving.
Yeah, why not? Who doesn't like eating a bunch of food?
Oh, true.
But there's not much commercial
Okay.
racket to be had, to quote Lucy from the Charlie Brown Christmas special. But it's easier to celebrate Christmas than Thanksgiving.
I guess.
They're just
There's more.
for sure.
Yeah.
There's just more around it, more feelings for me. Christmas was a season, and Thanksgiving is a day.
Okay.
Black
That's
Friday
all.
doesn't do it for you?
Not anymore. Not since you can buy a 65-inch TV for a couple $100. No, there's no need to get out there and fight people in the parking
Stand
lot.
in line and
Yeah. I can get knifed anywhere. I don't need to have it in the Walmart parking lot at Thanksgiving Day afterwards.
because you want an air fryer for
Right, yeah.
$20 off.
You know what? Just pay the extra 20 and stay alive.
No kidding.
Well, neither
Okay.
here nor there, but
So you brought. We've done Avery beers before.
yeah, we have they're kind of close. Mm-hmm. We can get their beers here.
Yep.
They also have a very nice I would rotating, I guess is a good way to say. They have like two different levels of beers. They have like a barrel aged series. Then they have some seasonals. They have their regular standby beers, and this is one of their seasonal releases. And this
Sweater
year,
Party.
It's called Sweater Party.
Is this new? I don't know if I've seen this.
No, I mean it's new this year, but they've made this beer many times before. It's 8%,
Their cans are awesome.
and it's called a spiced winter warmer.
Spiced. So brewed with Rocky Mountain water, malted barley, specialty malt, and mulling spices. Cinnamon, orange peel, allspice, cloves, ginger, hops, and yeast. So, I guess I don't need to open two, but I did.
Yeah, we do.
So, there we go.
That's why I brought two, so we could have a little more.
All right. It's malty looking, that's for sure.
Well, you're right. You're hitting it right on the nose.
Oh.
It's got to have a strong malty backbone for it to be considered this style of beer.
I haven't even smelled it yet, like up close, and I can smell it already.
Yeah,
Like you get that kind of Christmassy smell.
it smells fruity. Mm-hmm. I have also not smelled it, and I have a cold, but I can caramely,
Yes.
sweetness.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
All the above. Should we take bets on whether or not Dolan will like this beer?
he's not gonna like it.
He's probably not going to like it.
You don't think so?
No, but I think, don't you like fruitcake? Is this kernel in my brain somewhere? Do you like fruitcake?
No, not
Okay,
not
never mind.
usually.
Okay.
No.
That's a different Dolan that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Hey, Santa's here.
He's bringing a bunch of...
Brought a bunch of presents in.
Well, the Amazon Prime guy, which is pretty much as close to
This
Santa
is
as we can get.
basically, 21st century.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna
It smells good.
I'm gonna take a drink.
All right. Got through the foam there a little bit.
Yep.
I do like this one.
Whoa.
He's coming along.
He is coming along.
Instantly, I get like cranberry. Instantly.
Huh. Interesting.
But maybe ginger.
Definitely ginger.
Yeah, ginger, cranberry.
Yeah. So this is, well, like I said before, this is technically, it's called a winter warmer.
Okay.
And it's kind of a long and not murky, but a long version of how they get to this beer. So
Okay.
it's a style of beer that's been adapted and changed over time. But they've been brewing something similar to this for, almost 400 years. It's like an English style beer.
Not Avery, but just in general.
Correct.
Right.
Basically, for it to be a winter warmer, there's a lot of different things it has to have.
Okay.
Some or all of has to have a couple things.
Okay.
It should be copper-ish in color, ruby reddish, so almost
Yes.
like a brown,
Yes.
right? And then the foam on the top should be almost like an off-white.
Yeah. Here, let's get it.
You can definitely
So
see it. here.
kind of like like in Dolan's, the one I poured beautifully. It should have the flavors of, and again, this can be one or all or a combination: cinnamon, allspice, clove, orange peel, and ginger.
Clove.
Which was virtually the whole.
I
like,
get clove
every-
for sure.
I get clove.
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, to me, this almost tastes like black licorice.
I love me some black licorice.
I figured you would. It can have some flavored profiles, almost of like a chai tea.
Okay.
And Avery makes a chai tea brown, so it wouldn't be much of a step from that to this. And it's kind of basically another step forward from Oktoberfest style to beers, where it's sweet, it's malty. They're just adding a few more flavors basically to this thing. Some spice, like a spiced packet, basically, if you will.
So what you're saying is that let's say you've taken this beer journey with us, which we know many have.
Sure.
From the traditional lagers, light lagers, whatever, to maybe an IPA or two here along the way, like Dolan has with us, and then into Oktoberfest, like you took the leap and you ordered a Sam Adams Oktoberfest for the first time.
Yep.
And then maybe you tried others. This is a next logical step. Even though it looks dark, it's a next logical step for you.
For
maybe.
sure. You can trace it from a brown ale, a standard brown ale, which we've done a few of those on this show. Yep. I think Dolan brought one of them, I remember. And then you can jump into the Oktoberfest style. And then this is just a little bit past that. It's going to have the same consistency, and this will be a little stronger alcohol than those. But it's just going to have a little bit more flavor than those other ones that we've been talking about.
I think it definitely does, for
Yeah.
sure. Now, here's the thing: like any beer, the first drink is like punch you in the mouth, right? Like, oh, what is this? Second one, mellows out. Now this one is just a nice drinker. Now it just eases up.
This is another one of those styles that definitely changes over time with the warming of the beer. So you'll definitely get different notes as it warms up. The orange peel will probably come out a little bit later.
Interesting.
So maybe towards the last of your drinks, you'll get some of that. Maybe that allspice too. But
Look at Dolan learning from us. He's
Oh, yeah.
holding it.
That
Wrap your hands around your cup to warm it
Yeah,
up. Yeah. Learning. He's learning.
that's so great. So this one I picked just is because it's Avery and it's available in the Midwest. And I like the can. It's called Sweater Party. But the other ones, I picked out a bunch of other ones that are regional across the United States that most people could get. Samuel Adams makes a great one every year called Old Fezziwig.
Oh.
It's usually in their seasonal sampler, their Christmas box. Great Lakes Brewing makes one of the most famous ones, and that's called just Christmas Ale.
Our friend Thomas Piper has sent some of that last year to us.
That one definitely has cranberries in it. Deschutes has one called Jubilale that the recipe kind of changes on year to year. They just vary different things, but it's like their series beer.
Jubilale.
Jubilale.
I like it. I like it.
Boulevard makes one called Nutcracker. That's probably the first one of these I've ever had.
Okay.
And then Breckenridge out of Colorado makes one that's just called Christmas Ale. That's been about 25 years they've been making that one. And then Pyramid Breweries, which I think is owned by some big conglomerate, I believe now, but they're kind of everywhere. They have one that's called Snowcap that most people could find.
Seen this.
So those are other ones in the marketplace that would be similar to this as far as flavor profiles.
What is the Sam Adams that they have on tap right now? I went from Oktoberfest into the
I think
winter ale.
They
Is
have
that
a
what it is?
winter ale. Then they have Old Fizzywig, and then there's another one. They have 3 different Christmas ones.
That winter ale has the white label, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've had that a few times.
And that's got a little spice to it, but not anything like this.
Not
one.
like this, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe even a step closer to the Oktoberfest maybe than this. This is another step away from that.
So that's my third drink, and that already tastes different than
It
the
tastes,
first time.
right?
Yeah.
It already does.
Yep.
Huh.
These come from the tradition of British strong ales. You'll hear the name, or old ale. You'll see sometimes.
Like the wee heavies.
It's kind of similar to that.
Okay.
And basically, what it was it was brewed and then saved for this time of the year.
Okay.
It's mistaken belief now, but stronger alcohol would warm you up, right? So that's
right.
why you're taking shots at night, spirits to keep you warm. So that was the reason it was brewed, and it was brewed stronger, was to keep you warm at this time of year.
Which you shouldn't do that. It has the opposite effect.
It does have the opposite effect. We know that now. We think we're so smart, but we've ruined a lot of fun. So that was one of the reasons they did that. And then also, it's supposed to pair well with a lot of the rich and fatty foods of this time of year, especially from, if you're looking at culinary things from a couple hundred years ago, a lot of like dried fruits, rich meats like duck and geese and that sort of thing were holiday staples. And, if you've heard of Dickens, read a book of his or seen a Christmas Carol, all that food spread and one of the ghosts that comes.
Yep.
All those sorts of things are supposed to pair well with this style of beer.
I could eat some ham with this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like honey baked ham with some like brown sugar glaze on it.
Spiral cut honey baked ham.
Yeah.
Root beer ham.
Root beer ham.
That sounds good too.
There you go. You need to make that.
I just had a root.
You made it. You made it.
I did.
On Atlas Eats last year,
I
Christmas.
just made it last weekend for Thanksgiving. Well, as of this recording, last weekend for our Thanksgiving, I made it again.
We're in a time machine.
Delicious.
I just
was
had a
very
root
good.
beer stout the other day.
A root beer stout.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, it tasted like root beer up front, and then it was a whopping like 10% on the back end.
So it's not your father's root beer?
It's not your grandfather.
No, it was Boiler's root beer stout.
All right.
Another name you'll hear along with this style of beer, and I think Dogfish Head has one called it, is Burton Ale. That's another name that is interchangeable, especially in England or Europe.
Interesting.
And it's basically from the town where this style of beer was from. Burton-on-Trent was the brewery.
Okay.
And this is something that they kind of started brewing. And then later that became the birthplace of IPAs. So they were kind of had their finger on the pulse a couple different times.
Interesting.
Years and years apart.
Huh.
You would see the name Burton/Old Ale up until about the 50s.
Okay.
And it was usually a cask ale, which is served at room temperature.
Weird.
And because that's, back in the day, they didn't have refrigeration.
Right.
And it's almost like a pump. Have you ever seen a cask? You ever been to a place that has one?
Yes.
They have one here in Omaha at Krug Park, I know. But basically, it's like a pump that you pull it a couple times, and then you put your glass under there, and it pours out the beer, and it's
You push air into it. And yeah.
it's like it basically pours the beer.
How does that not oxidize the beer? I mean, I guess if you're going to drink it really quickly, then
Yeah,
I get it.
And they go, and then a lot of places, I think, like Upstream still makes a beer that's specific for cask.
Okay.
It's just an English style, and a lot of these kinds of beers were made for that reason. And then that name Burton Ale kind of changed over time. The brewery that was making it is known as Young's.
Okay.
And you've probably had one of their beers or seen it. You'll see a Young's double chocolate stout a lot of places in a bottle. It has a purple label.
It sounds familiar.
And it's about 300 years old, that style,
Okay.
that beer. And then this one they made as well, Burton Ale. And they changed it to now it's called Young's Winter Warmer in 1971. And they have that most places here around. And then the other one that's kind of a twin to this, let's say it's the Oscar Blues to this Avery, is Samuel Smith's.
I've seen that a ton.
They have they call it Winter Welcome. They started making that in 1990.
They have a very regal looking label.
It's in kind of a taller bottle. They have a chocolate stout that's just amazing. It's a lot thinner than the American style stouts. It's more like a porter, but super good. If you ever see that, it's well worth like a $5.99, $6 price for a bottle, but it's a little bit taller it's like about an 18-ounce bottle.
Okay.
But those have been brewed and marketed as those things for 30 to 50 years.
Wow.
And then they kind of started making their way over here with the craft beer explosion and home brews of the
Sure.
80s.
As craft brewers were looking for something additional throughout the, through their brewing process, and what else can we dig back into the past and then try to
Sure. And also it's seasonal. I mean, these were things that are these ingredients were around this time of year, and that's why they were used. A lot of figs, raisins, plums, that sort of stuff.
raisins are gross.
They are, but sometimes they're in beer and it tastes good.
I guess
Or Dr. Pepper if you like that.
Whoa, what?
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 Yeah, I think there's like
Raisins in your Dr.
I
Pepper.
think there's prunes. I believe it's prunes in Dr. Pepper.
Well, okay, yes.
Same family tree.
To help you with the
with your issues.
with the business
What-
if you got it right.
Or
lack of-
sometimes while you'll hear it called Dr. Pooper.
okay.
This style of beer will be 5.5% to usually 8. 8 is kind of the max.
You just blew Dolan's mind with that. He's like, that's why.
He's like, that's why I always got poop.
Yes. Go ahead.
8%. That's where we're sitting with this one.
8.3 on this one is what
it?
all on
Okay.
tap says. Yes.
So right around there. They should have a bitter and a sweetness to them.
Yeah, I can get that.
Like some sort of a balance. It might be heavier on one versus the other, but you should have both of those flavors available. It would be a nutty, they call it nutty, dark malt look. Mm-hmm. So kind of just the brown style. And then there should be some sort of dried fruit, either aroma or flavor.
All the above.
And then they use dark roasted or chocolatey malts, and that has to be in there. Now, if it doesn't have the maltiness, the smell, and it doesn't have that like fruit kind of aroma and taste, then that's when they start calling them Christmas ales. So you'll see Christmas ale and you'll see winter warmer, and you'll see them interchanged. And a lot of breweries mislabel them either on purpose or on accident.
Okay.
But for it to be a true winter warmer, it has to be that stronger ABV. It has to be malty. That's like key. It has to have that maltiness to it.
Okay.
That caramelly sort of sweet smell. Because if it's just a beer, an ale that they brewed with some cranberries, well, that's a Christmas ale, and that's not a winter warmer. And that's a separate sub-series of seasonal beers.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
And I just kind of figured, I kind of thought that, but I hadn't really seen it laid out until I was doing some research, and then it makes some sense.
I didn't know. I assumed that one was that they were interchangeable. That one was the same as the other, and I guess I didn't know.
Yeah, those would not be the spice. Those Christmas ales are usually more like sprucey, if that makes sense. I know that there's a lot of like winter IPAs that have spruce tips used, cranberries. I think one of those Alaskan beers we did very early on had the spruce tip sort of thing to it.
I was just thinking back to was it like episode 2 or 3 where we were highly disappointed because I wanted more spruce and cranberry, and it wasn't necessarily there.
Yeah, so
Alaskan Brewing Company, yeah.
those are the differences in those two styles. But right now, once Oktoberfest is out of the stores, these have pushed in, and those will be the two labels that you'll see. And just so you know, Winter Warmer will be spiced. It will almost be like a gingerbread flavor, or
Yes.
like I was saying, fruit cake, kind of bready, kind of fruity. That sort of flavor is a Winter Warmer. And then anything like sourish or fruited, cranberries, that'll be a Christmas ale.
Interesting. Well, now I have to try. I did see the Sam Adams has a Christmas ale, and I wondered what the difference was. So now I'm going to have to try that. And
I would
see.
suggest just get the box. Just get the Christmas pack.
Oh, okay.
And then you can have a few of each. Because I think they make 3 different ones
Okay.
for Christmas.
So what would the Kincaid's Snow Beast fall under? Because I'm absolutely in love with that one.
It's probably closer to a winter warmer,
Winter warmer.
Yeah.
I would guess, because it's got almost some Belgian-y, yeasty, bready notes to it, right? It's sweet.
Yeah.
If I remember, I haven't had it for a while.
Yeah.
But it's definitely sweet, but it's got some fruit flavor to it too. I'd say it's probably technically a winter warmer. And that's usually why it comes out when it does.
Yeah.
Well, they're calling it a winter ale.
Okay.
Winter ale.
So yeah, similar. It's just every brewery is going to kind of have some semantic differences, but that's the category I would assume it is under. But
Christmas in a bottle is what they call it.
Yeah.
So 6.8%. So I mean the ABV
falls
is a
in
little
that-
bit lower,
but it falls in the
yeah.
5 to 8
Yep.
ish category.
Which this year's Snow Beast, I think it might be the best Snow Beast they've ever done.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't tried it yet.
It is pretty fantastic. There have been years where it tasted like cherry chapstick, and it just
I thought it tasted like marshmallows from Lucky Charms one time, and I was like, no, this isn't for me.
You know what wasn't for me is I had their barrel age last year, and that was not for me.
And I flipped it. I love the barrel age.
Really?
I was like, you can have the regular. Give me that barrel.
I'll take the regular at this point.
Yummy.
So Avery Brewing Company, we've talked about them before. One of my favorites. I've been there more times than I can count. Someday I want to meet Adam Avery. I'm sure he's been at the brewery the multiple times I've been there. They're
Probably just chilling at the end.
probably.
Yeah.
I hope so. Right, just hanging out at the
If
end
I
of the
had a
bar.
brewery, I would be there all the time.
Right. Avery Brewing Company is located at 4910 Nautilus Court North in Boulder, Colorado. You think you're driving through a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden this little industrial area, and then there's Avery, and it is gorgeous. And it's if you haven't been there, if you're anywhere close to Denver, it would take you, if you're in Denver downtown-ish, it would take you 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes to get there or so. Maybe less. It depends on traffic or whatever. But
I haven't been there.
You've never been to Avery?
Not to the new
oh,
location,
my
no.
goodness. So founded in September. Oh, here we go. So open Monday 3 to 10, Tuesday, and I made this mistake driving back from Estes Park, and I've gotten there too early on Monday. Unfortunately, I had to go someplace else. Monday 3 to 10, Tuesday and Wednesday 11:30 to 10, Thursday, Friday, Saturday 11:30 to 11, and then Sunday 11:30 to 10. Founded in September of '93 by Adam Avery. They won their first Great American Beer Festival Gold the next year for their stout, Out of Bounds.
Yeah, that is just a classic, great stout. And it
Have
comes
you
in
had it?
cans, yeah.
Oh,
6-pack can, I think, and it's pretty good.
never had it. I should try it.
Yeah,
They were the first packaged IPA in Colorado. I think we talked about that a little bit last
Yeah.
time. 1996, first packaged IPA, which is
I mean,
that's hard to believe.
Plus, it's just saying something. That's how many breweries are just in
Yeah.
Colorado, So to be an innovator is amazing.
It's crazy. They started canning beers in 2010, which that's how I got to know Avery, was canning at first. And then they moved to their current location, their new location in 2015. So they've been there for 4 years now. And it is beautiful. Their food selection is unmatched. I don't know if there is a better brewery / beer pairing in Colorado. And I've been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we go out there all the time, and I've been to a lot of them. It doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, that's high praise from the food guy.
You need to. They've had a flatbread pizza there before that I've had, so there you go, right up your alley.
Yeah.
We happened to go. Steve Seitner and I went last year during Oktoberfest, which was super awesome. So their German selection was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just the sausage and the pretzels and and you will not appreciate this, but
The
I
mustard.
certainly. Oh,
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
You got like 6 kinds of mustard. It was great.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like it was. We had so much fun. We had a whole plan. So the wives are with us. We were going for Aaron Blummel got married, and one of our recruiters. This was last year, and we had planned to go to Avery and Odell and New Belgium and Bootstrap. Like we were going to make the whole
Ambitious.
trip. Oh, we were. Yeah, and Avery was the first stop, and we were there for 3.5, 4 hours, and then we had to get to Denver for the wedding. So
Whoops.
didn't leave.
Well,
Oh my gosh, it was so good, so good. Untapped. What do you think? An abnormally low number of reviews so far, but I think maybe because it's newer.
how low is newer?
Only 839.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
So small. What do you think?
I'd say probably 3.71.
Don't.
3.5.
Yeah. Okay. Close. 3.81.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know. It'd be unfair for me to rate it at this point because I don't know if I don't have much to rate it against. I guess it's a 4, maybe.
Oh,
I guess right.
Well,
I mean,
you're
'cause
just rating it as it stands.
as it stands.
Right.
Right. But I don't know what would make it a 5. Like, what would I want more of?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I
What
don't
would you want
know.
more of?
Because-
I think this beer, you have to be pretty good at these because it would be very easy to go overboard on some spice.
Yes.
And you wouldn't want to drink it. It would be like drinking a candle or potpourri, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a good one of these, like a great one, would probably be hard to do.
You're only kind of one step away from a barley wine here, though, right? Too.
Pretty
I mean,
close.
Are we
yeah.
close?
Yeah, we're getting there.
And what I kind of liked about the barley wine that I had just recently was it kind of had that burn at the
Oh,
end.
alcohol burn.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're usually like 18%. All right.
I think I could, if I were to say, I'd probably want more of the sweetness, like some of the caramel.
A little more sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But would I go buy a 6-pack of this and have it for the holidays?
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Luckily, I did that. Well, now I'm
What?
short.
You got a 4-pack?
I had, you know what? I've had this for maybe a week or two, and I had to reach over the other 4 because I was like, I can't drink this before the podcast, so I had to like do a little digging around in the beer fridge to get to something else that wasn't this. So,
Dolan, do you think this is a step that Sam might take at some point with you? Is it-
Absolutely not.
No?
No.
Really?
Yeah, she's just more. It's got to be super chocolatey, super dark, or super sour. Like, yeah, it's just the beer taste in anything she doesn't really like.
Well, that's a good segue right there. So I
Yeah.
brought a bonus beer for us today.
Oh.
About a month ago, I saw on Facebook that Prairie had they announced one of their seasonals called Seasick Crocodile. And you got to know where this is from, right? You have to know where this is from.
of course,
And
does Dolan?
Dolan, do you know where Seasick
Absolutely
Crocodile?
not.
You don't know where this is? You watched it as a kid.
It's one of the lyrics. It's one of the lines of the song from The Grinch.
You're a mean one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Seasick Crocodile.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are way ahead of me. First of all, you didn't finish this.
I didn't.
Second of all, I still have some, so I gotta.
He had such a good segue into the sour. That
I know that's what I thought, but I'll go there with you. Just give me a second.
All right. I'll talk about Seasick Crocodile for a second. So I found this at one of the local places just down the street here. You okay? You good?
Yeah, I was just worried about how that transition is going to be between not what we're listening to, but from spiced winter ale to sour. We'll find
Yeah,
out, I guess.
I can finish the rest of that can if you guys.
Well, you're going to get
what a
some of that one
silence.
too,
Oh,
so
okay.
don't worry.
Yes.
Oh, I was going for it.
Seasick Crocodile has sour ale with cranberries, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg. So
So we've got
it may not
cinnamon
be...
and ginger,
Yep.
the same as this one. Whoa, look at that color.
Oh, it's a different color for sure. It is a...
Definitely cranberry, you said, right?
Yeah.
So
Reddish,
that's what it comes out.
orangish.
I like nutmeg generally. Speaking of nutmeg, in Christmas time,
Huh?
the dirtiest Christmas song I've ever heard in my life is called Nutmeg, and it was written by John Legend, and it was on the Stephen Colbert Christmas episode that he did on his show.
Okay.
And it's so wrong, and it's just so right. So I think about that with nutmeg every time.
With nutmeg.
I'll play it for you later.
Okay. All right. Or go look it up on the Spotify.
Either you'll be blushing or it's from the alcohol.
Could it show up on the Atlas playlist maybe at
Oh,
some point?
I might have been on the last year's Christmas one. We'll see.
All right. So Seasick Crocodile from Prairie. Prairie's out of Oklahoma, yes?
Yeah, like
And
Tulsa, I think.
We've done a couple of their beers before.
They make really good sours and stouts. That's kind of what they're known for.
What does that smell?
Cinnamon.
Is that cinnamon to
me.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a straight cinnamon
This is the
smell.
straight pie. This is like Christmas pies.
Ooh, that's so good.
Oh, yeah. He'll like this.
Yeah.
It tastes
Oh.
like Christmas pie.
Yeah, it's a pie.
I just get cinnamon, and I love cinnamon.
I'm so glad I only brought one of these.
And a little
there's-
tart.
It was a 4-pack, so there's 3 more back there.
Well, as you're indulging in that, let me get to the root of my actual research, because we haven't even touched on it yet.
Did I skip ahead a little bit on you?
Well, kind of, but I was trying to keep up with you guys on the...
okay, all right.
What's this called?
Sweater party.
What's on the label there?
An ugly Christmas sweater.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
You got a little sweater party on the Seasick
That's what I
Crocodile,
saw. So
too.
what a
Look at
perfect tie-in. I did a little research on the ugly Christmas sweater,
that. Oh,
which was kind of hard to find information on it.
yeah.
It's everywhere in pop culture right now, but
Okay.
there seems to be... It was hard for me to trace it back.
Okay.
But I did it for you guys.
Okay.
Basically, an ugly Christmas sweater. To meet the requirements, the theme of the sweater, the imagery on the sweater, it needs to either be in bad taste, it needs to be tacky, or gaudy is the description, right? So originally these were made, I I traced it kind of all the way back to the 50s to the 80s. That seems to be the prime time when these were made, but they were made for fashion, like to be good, like a nice sweater.
So it wasn't a gimmick.
No, it was
legit.
That's what fashion was, and that's what they thought it was. It was holiday, like over the top, or not even over the top, just the kind of designs your grandma would wear in a sweatshirt. That's what it was.
Or the mom from the Goldbergs.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we've taken that and extrapolated into this anything goes sort of like situation that we have now.
I think you say sadistic, which is kind of funny.
It's
but
true-ish
that could be
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first ones that were purchased by people was because they thought it looked good, and now people buy them because they think they look bad. Right? Like the worse you can find, the better. And they're just everywhere. So I wanted to see, like, where did that come from?
Okay.
Originally, they were called Jingle Bell sweaters because some of them actually had jingle bells embroidered into them.
Which would be even better.
But those were the ones that you'll see in the 50s and 60s. It's like an actual wool sweater with like a reindeer, like this sort of
like
a line of embroidery in the middle with a reindeer or a sleigh or some sort of thing, right? That's kind of the original Christmas sweater, but it was, again, to look good. The first Christmas ugly sweater party, and they coined the term, was in Vancouver. They think this is where it came from.
Canada,
Vancouver, Canada. And I was around 2007, 8, so not that long ago.
Wow.
No, 2002, that's when it was. And they had a big party at this ballroom at a hotel. And they charged whatever cost it was to come to the Christmas party. And it's at the Commodore Ballroom. And all that money they started giving it to charity. And it still happens today. They have a ball every year.
Okay.
And it goes to, I wrote it down. Oh my gosh. How many did I drink before I wrote this note? Right. Make-A-Wish Canada. So all the money goes to that.
Oh, gotcha.
The guys that started that party, there's two of them. They trademarked Ugly Christmas Sweater and Ugly Christmas Sweater Party.
Whoa. They trademarked this?
Back in 2002.
Wow.
So that's why this is called Sweater Party and not Christmas Sweater Party or Ugly Christmas Sweater Party.
Sure.
So I thought that was interesting, and they still do it today. The other thing I looked up and I found kind of incidentally was cardigans. That's another style of Christmas sweater.
Oh,
so it's either you'll see the vintage ones or an actual like crocheted or knitted sweater with things on it, or you'll see a cardigan with like embellishments, embroidery. Those are like the traditional ones.
Okay.
Now, and I have strong feelings about this.
Ooh.
Now, Christmas sweaters, what they call a Christmas sweater, can be a freaking T-shirt with a stupid print on it or a pullover sweatshirt. That is not a sweater. That is a sweatshirt. That is a T-shirt that's supposed to kind of maybe-ish look like a sweater.
So
that's cheap. That's getting out of the way. That's not in a tradition that I feel is that you should do.
So you didn't like my my Christmas sweater hoodie?
I think it's fine, but it's not a sweater.
Okay.
Don't call it one. It's a hood. It's a
hoodie.
holiday hoodie.
It was a hoodie, that's for sure.
That's okay.
Yep.
But don't try to parade it as a sweater because it's not.
it's like an ugly crew neck.
That's what they should call it.
That's what they should call it.
Trademark right now. Let's get on it.
Ugly crew neck.
So the cardigan. Okay, where's that come from? Well, it comes from England. James Thomas Brudenell. He was the 7th Earl of Cardigan, which apparently was a place.
Okay.
Which sounds made up. And he was a military dude. And it was cold there. And he had his soldiers fitted with these knitted sweaters so they would stay warm.
Okay.
As part of their uniform, and those became known as cardigans because they were from that place and they wore sweaters, so those were now known as a cardigan. So it's a military term, really.
Does a cardigan have sleeves?
It has sleeves and it has buttons.
Okay, all right.
It's like what? It's kind of like what you would see a hipster wearing, I guess, best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Right?
You have one, don't you?
I have many.
Of
course.
I've seen you wear the bluish purple one.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're on the money.
And his house smells of rich mahogany
and leather-bound books. Now you can buy what I was kind of ranting on before. You can buy Christmas ugly sweaters from Dolce & Gabbana for almost $4,000.
Ridiculous.
You can buy them from H&M, Bloomingdale's, Target, Walmart, whatever. Anywhere you go, you can find them.
I wrote down my favorite here as you started talking.
Okay.
Tipsy Elves.
Is that a website?
Yes, it is. Do you know where the Tipsy Elves came from?
No.
They're one of the most successful Shark Tank companies of all time. Robert Herjavec invested in them probably 3 seasons ago.
Okay.
And Tipsy Elves just made Christmas sweaters, and maybe more of the.
I might actually own one of these.
It's possible. Their marketing is fantastic. Their email marketing is unbelievable. So, a lot of them may be not safe for work.
Oh, then I probably definitely own one because I think I do.
How about this? Not safe for your work. Totally fine here
For
at
our
Atlas.
work, yeah,
At Atlas,
of course.
it's absolutely acceptable.
That reminds me of the company that I found, and that's what I thought you were going to talk about.
Okay.
Ragstock, it's called.
No.
So it's basically Tinder for Christmas sweaters, vintage ones.
Rag stock?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I posted a Facebook link to this yesterday when I found it. I was like, holy crap. It had 97 pages of vintage. That was just one section. There was huge sections. You can buy a Star Wars sweatshirt.
Right.
Or you can buy Game of Thrones. But then they had this whole section of like real vintage ones that looks like my grandma's closet. And you can go through, sort by price. The cheapest ones were like $15, but it was like, 80s sweatshirt with a poinsettia embroidered on it, or a polar bear, or a cardinal with some pine cones, or like these were the real deal things that people were wearing in the 80s.
Yes.
Like when they thought this looked good. And this is the place that makes them. Not makes them, but sells them.
Reseller.
So the guy that owned it, I think, he sold movie props and other stuff online.
Okay.
And he started noticing, hey, these sweaters are kind of everywhere. And he was looking on eBay and he was seeing these vintage ones selling for like $300, $400. And he was like, man, I could do this. I'm already doing this with just different products, right? So him and his brother started it up. And in 2014, just by selling Christmas sweaters, they made $3.5 million.
Wow.
In 2015, it went to $4.8 million.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
last number I could find in 2016 was $5.3 million. And that's just on stuff they would send people to like Salvation Army or thrift stores. What's it called? Like when you have a house sale, not a garage sale, but like a estate sale.
Estate sale.
And they buy up anything vintage Christmas and then put it online and they sell it. And I have to think the numbers are even bigger because now it's like a huge cultural thing, right?
No, so it's not a reseller site necessarily. They're going out and finding these and,
Yes.
and selling.
Yeah, they're not. They might be making some on the one side, but the side,
Sure.
the part of the site I looked at was the actual vintage. We found this. We're going to sell it to you part. Which I know there's a lot of like vintage clothing resellers and that sort of stuff, and that's kind of what this is. They have 30 full-time employees.
What?
And 2 of them are just strictly social media people because holiday sweaters and parties are such a big thing. Man. So they have people dedicated to that all year round, which I think is pretty cool.
That
How
is
do they?
awesome.
How do they? That's crazy. Just for one part of the year, and they're
It said they spend 10 to 11 months a year stocking up for this time. So November to like the first couple weeks of December is their main sales months.
So I wonder if they run things like, "Hey, send us your old sweaters."
I guarantee it. Or they have people, scouts out looking for this sort of stuff.
Okay.
But it's pretty cool. I didn't look at the actual app. I just looked at the website. But I think they do have an app. From
Their
what I
website is awesome. I just pulled it up now. Oh, they got a whole section for 90s jackets.
Uh-huh. So that was the thing I didn't say. The sweater craze died in the 90s. Like for some reason, the people in the 90s, and we were kind of in the 90s, right?
Yeah, right.
So we were growing up and like, that's something our grandparents would do. We don't like that. Or 80s, whatever. That was too much.
Yep.
But then in the 2000s, everybody jumped back on the Christmas sweater train. So in the 90s, they were like impossible to find. There just wasn't anything like that made. 90s were kind of a grim time. You know what I mean?
They were. It was a dead time.
It surprised me because the '90s had like a lot of colors. It was color pop.
True.
It was
neon colors for design.
It was more like abstract colors, maybe more like lightning bolts and stripes and
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stripes.
yeah.
So with the sweater stuff, I had to ask for this. I needed help printing these.
Okay.
I have a little trivia for us.
Oh, interesting.
And these are famous sweaters in pop culture.
okay.
And I'm just going to show them to you guys, and then you tell me, if you can, who they belong to.
Interesting.
I'm gonna lose already.
All right. So I'll start with, some of these are so easy.
Okay.
We'll definitely post pictures of all of these here.
Okay, so here's the first one.
Okay.
We've got an orange sweater on this side,
Yep.
a red and white striped one here, and a blue, looks like a crew neck with some strings hanging off the side.
So the first one, Velma.
Is Velma from Scooby-Doo.
You're both right.
Okay. The middle one
Waldo?
is Waldo.
You're right.
Yep. And the right is that Rivers Cuomo from Weezer?
You're right. It's the Sweater Undone song. You want to pull the thread.
Yes.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right, next.
All right. Interesting. Oh, these get harder. Oh man.
Is that Blue's Clues?
The very
No.
No.
the very far left is a green and blue or green and gray.
This one or this one?
No, far left. My left.
This one.
Yes, is a green and
It's
gray.
two different greens.
short sleeved,
Kind of like a short sleeve sweater, but it's
striped.
striped sweater with two different greens, I would say. The red one is a zip up red, and this one is more like a sweatshirt over a
That one's,
business shirt.
That one's Flanders.
You're right.
Yeah,
Flanders.
far right is Ned Flanders.
Uh-huh.
I would say the far left is
It's not.
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
You're right. Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain from the Smells
From
Like
that
Teen
video.
Spirit video. Yes.
The middle.
Michael
the
Jackson.
red zip up. I have no clue.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
That's his cardigan.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Oh boy.
On this side, we've got like a big, almost looks like a Mexican style
yeah.
wool.
Yeah, it's big and puffy.
It's got a collar. The middle is like a animal print sweater vest.
That
And then
one's
this
easy.
one is like a red and green.
Those are the last two are easy. The first
Right.
one is difficult. The middle one is definitely Ferris Bueller.
You're right.
Okay.
The far right is Freddy Krueger.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
And then I don't know about the left one.
Seeing this one out of this picture, this is the easiest one for me.
On the very left.
This one.
On
I don't
Brian's
know.
left, yes.
I feel like it's something Ice Cube would wear.
You're close. He's as cool as Ice Cube.
Oh, yeah?
That's from the Big Lebowski.
Oh,
It's the dude's sweater.
I should know that.
And the last one.
Oh boy,
This is the hardest group.
Oh my gosh. So the one on the far left, on my left here, is has like a gun holster.
It has a holster and a turtle. It's a turtleneck
Is that
sweater.
Axel Foley?
Close.
Okay.
Same type of character, but about 25 years earlier.
oh.
The middle one looks like a carpet sample from the 80s, and this one is blue with a bunch of stars.
I've seen the middle one before, but I can't.
I'm gonna go with Shaft then on the far left.
Okay, this one is Steve McQueen in Bullet.
Gosh, such a good movie.
The middle one here is it's one that kind of started the whole thing. It's a Cosby sweater.
Oh.
And then this one is from Coraline.
Yes, that's where I've seen that one. Yeah.
So those are the sweaters I could find, pop culture famous sweaters. to tie
We'll
in.
definitely post a picture of those.
Yeah.
If you are listening on the podcast, I apologize. I did as best I could to describe.
I tried to describe them too.
There we go.
They'll be in the picture.
Absolutely.
On the picture here.
What are we thinking about this sour?
I love it.
Look, my grandma made a rhubarb pie when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and it tastes like the rhubarb pie with cinnamon. That's what it tastes
See,
like.
to me, because I don't like ginger, that's what I get a lot of in this thing. I
get
just
some-
notice it's there.
I get some apple, maybe a little bit apple rhubarb.
Apple juice. Either way, it's really tasty. I'm a
I'm
fan.
not disappointed. So if you want to take a sour, which is traditionally a summer beer, and make it Christmas, that's what they did.
Yep.
Hats off to them, man. This was good.
Yeah, these were two good beers. Two way different styles, but had similar flavor profiles.
It's very similar. Untapped says it's a 4.8% ABV, so super low, which
Yeah.
is sour. That makes sense. What do you think? Similar number of check-ins, 880 so far.
Oh yeah, that is pretty small. I want to go. This one's higher, 4.1.
Dolan?
Yeah, 4.3.
3.94.
Oh wow.
So close.
Yeah, that's pretty. to average almost a 4 is pretty good.
The total people have rated it as sour, spicy, ginger, and fruity.
I definitely get ginger.
I could taste all that. Are you ginger? You're not a ginger fan
No.
in general, no.
No. Which is weird because there's a lot of it in these beers. And
True.
I like them.
Because it's a flavor that can come through.
What about like pickled ginger?
Nope.
Like you get with your
Talking
sushi?
No,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
No?
No, that looks like for the men that are listening, it looks like the urinal puck that they have in the urinals, and
I get extra.
It looks like they shave those pucks
I get extra.
out, and that's what it looks like.
Urinal pucks taste good.
I think it looks like skin.
It does look like skin. It looks like
It looks like someone had a sunburn and they peeled it off and then threw it in a jar.
Oh, wow. You guys are... Man.
No.
But it doesn't taste like that. It just
No.
looks like
Tastes
that.
amazing.
I don't know what it tastes like because I stay away from it generally.
You've never
so
had it.
I don't want to.
Well, then how can you judge it?
Are you talking about sunburns or are you talking about ginger?
Pickled ginger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've eaten a
Ginger.
sunburn pool. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Sam and I always get the extra, sometimes 2 orders of extra ginger.
Gross.
Yeah.
Well, she might like this beer then.
I'll get extra Play-Doh with mine, but not because I love it.
Oh, wasabi.
Here's what I love about doing these. Not only just talking about the just like different flavors and whatever else, and sharing this kind of knowledge, but when people walk past the production room. So one of our bankers just walked by.
Oh.
And looked in and he was like, "What time is it?" And it's only 11:30 in the morning. Little did he know that we started this like at
10:30.
10:30.
And we run on
Yeah.
Eastern time here, so it's fine.
Well, I guess it's fine. It's just that look that you get sometimes because we are so absolutely different here than in any place else I've ever been.
That's why it's amazing.
That's why it's
Because
fun.
nobody even thinks twice about it here.
No, it's just
It's
how
a
it is.
shock to the system for regular folks. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, it was when I walked in the door here, that's for sure.
Steve wore a collared shirt for them today, so
Oh, is that what was going on? It looked like
Yeah.
he kind of combed his hair, too.
he combed his hair a little bit. So as you grow up a little bit, you gotta
Yeah. You got to know your audience.
Yeah, I saw that. I sit right next to Steve, and I kind of felt bad because I didn't feel like dressing up this morning or even putting on casual clothes, so I wore all sweats.
That's
you
why
go.
he handles that side, and
Yeah.
I handle this side.
That's right.
So
Good for you.
there we go. So all right, Merry Christmas, Brian.
Yeah, you too. Happy New Year coming up.
One more Christmas episode coming here next week. I have no idea what it is. I just know that when I told Steve Seitner what the name of the brewery, he's like, "Oh, this is
That's a good Seitner impression, too.
yes," and he was super excited. So whatever it is next week, I'm looking forward to it. Already.
He hit me up and said, if there's any of that left, I would take it. I don't want to barge in and just drink it. So if there's any left, just where I am.
Of course,
He doesn't want to be on the episode?
No, he just wants to drink the beer.
He just wants to
Oh,
drink the
gotcha,
beer.
gotcha.
Yeah. So, Brian, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another Christmas beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.